Assalamu alaikum to everybody. A very warm welcome to each of you joining us. So, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are joining us from different parts of the world. I'm Sohela Chima, and I'm an associate professor of clinical population health here at Weill Cornell Medicine, and also the assistant dean for the Institute for Population Health. I welcome you to the Health and You Community Wellness Series. We have a very exciting talk today. Before I go and introduce the speaker for today, just as a reminder, the overall goal of the series is really to create community awareness about health, well-being, disease, and we really want, for you to be able to enhance your self-care, and in the process also reduce suffering, improve the quality of life, and increase healthy longevity. So this is not a CME CPD activity, and it's geared towards the general public. Also, your cameras and microphones have been turned off. You can use the Q&A tab to type any questions or comments. You can also use the chat feature. You can go ahead and type your comments or questions that you have in the chat, and we will be able to see your questions and comments. As you may know, questions are addressed at the end of the session, and I will moderate the session for Ms. Maha Elnashar, who's our esteemed speaker today, and no certificates of attendance will be issued. So I think we're going to really enjoy this very exciting talk today. It gives me great pleasure and honor to introduce Ms. Maha Elnashar. She is the director for the Center of Cultural Competence in Healthcare at the Institute for Population Health here at Weill Cornell Medicine in Qatar. She holds 2 master's degrees in human development and in comparative religions, as well as a postgraduate diploma in interpretation and translation. Ms. Elnashar is the founder of the Center for Cultural Competence in Healthcare at WCM-Q. She's co-founder of the Qatar Institute for Intercultural Communication, which is an education city initiative working in collaboration with the Intercultural Communication and Collaboration Forum. Ms. Elnashar is licensed by the Cross Cultural Healthcare Program in Seattle, USA, as a medical interpreter and cultural competency trainer. She's a member of the US National Council on Interpreting in Healthcare and is certified by Talent Smart Incorporated USA as a certified trainer of emotional intelligence. She has extensive experience in training healthcare providers and educational professionals on cultural competency, emotional intelligence, and medical interpretation skills. Her research focuses on the influence of culture and language on healthcare, and she has published various scholarly articles in prestigious peer-reviewed journals. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Maha Elnashar, and she's going to talk to us about me, myself, and I, self-awareness and well-being. Maha, a very warm welcome to you, and over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sohela. It's a great honor to be here today. So my name is Maha Elnashar. I have no relevant financial relationship to disclose, will not be discussing any unlabeled or unapproved products. My presentation, as you see the name, the title is actually Me, Myself, and I. It's just a statement that's frequently used in arts, in theology, and in religion. And it always have a different kind of meaning and connotation. So philosophy and theology, they think that me is the physical aspect, which is the body, refers to the individual as a separate entity from others. Myself is the soul aspect where, we explore the context of self-awareness and introspection. For my I is the spirit, the core of an individual identity and how's the connection with the supreme power or with God. So the discussion is always about whether these 3 aspects are thoroughly in agreement and aligned or not. Sometimes, this title shows, especially in art, people who are self-centered or people who are alone. So my intention of using this title mainly is to question how much do I know myself as a 3-dimensional person? How much information I can get from my inner self. And that will be our topic today. So it's connected with well-being. My agenda for today is I will talk about the well-being first, because this is what every living creature is looking for. Is actually they are inherently we are like built in to look after our well-being, and it has 5 essential elements. We'll talk about self-awareness and what's the role of self-awareness in shaping our well-being, and I will give you some tips and strategies to cultivate self-awareness. So I looked first when I was looking, when I was starting to prepare the presentation, I was looking for the definition for well-being. It's a very broad word. So I said, let me start first with, the dictionary. So the dictionary Merriam-Webster said this: well-being is the state of being comfortable, healthy, and happy. Very general, very very open, very common, but it did not actually give me what I was looking for. So I kept looking in the literature, and I found actually the World Health Organization, they give a very interesting definition. It said, similar to health, it's a resource for daily life and determined by social, economic, and environmental conditions. It encompasses quality of life, the ability of people to contribute to the world with a sense of meaning and purpose. So that's what it is. We are actually having the well-being to, fulfill our sense of meaning and to have a purpose in life. There is a lot of studies that has been done in this field, and I found an interesting book called Wellbeing. It's done by Gallup Inc. It's an American organization very known for its surveys worldwide. They do like all over the world, like polls and surveys to get people's all over the world to get their opinion. So in 2010, they conducted a huge study, global study for more than 150 countries, giving us a lens in how well-being is seen through the eyes of the rest of the world. And then they compared these results to know how people experience and evaluate their overall well-being. So these two people who wrote this book, actually it's a book, it's a report, and like various subsequent articles. They said that contrary to what many people believe, well-being is not just being happy, nor about being wealthy or successful, and it's not limited to physical health and wellness. It is all these elements together. Focusing on one of these elements alone in isolation causes frustration and even failure. That was, it's a good summary of what well-being is. Then they came up with, after they summarized all the results, they came up with 5 essential elements that transcend over countries, faith, cultures. These elements are the career well-being, and it's not only work, but it's what you do daily. Social well-being, what is the relationship, your family, your love in your life. Financial well-being, managing your economic life to reduce stress and increase security. Physical well-being, of course, it's very well known, good health and everyone, and to have enough energy, to get things done per day. And community well-being, engagement and involvement in the area where we live or with the people around you. So these are the main 5 essential elements for a person to be in a good well-being status. Then there was some certain facts I just summarized, and I got some of these facts out. Like, for example, for the career well-being, I find it interesting that people who know and use their strengths are more than 3 times as likely to report having an excellent quality of life. So finding your strength is extremely important, and know how to use it, it's more than important, because while these people who do not use their strengths, they get burned out after just 20 hours of work per week. And strength here is not like muscles, but actually, what is your talents, what is your qualities, what's the best you can do. Everyone has something. It's not like limited things. Everybody has lots of strengths. Social well-being, that our social circle actually can directly impact our physical health. Like, for example, they mentioned this, I found it very funny, including secondhand obesity. So I can imagine, people who are just gathered over food, they definitely, they get obese because they like to more variety of food. They mentioned also that we need 6 hours of social time to have a thriving day, a successful day. And the employees with the best friend at work are 7 times are likely to be more engaged in their jobs. And that's without best friend at work, they have just 1 to 12 chances of being engaged. And I'm very blessed to have friends around me. And of course, I'm topping Huda, my colleague and my, I call her always partner in crime. The third thing is financial well-being. And this is actually exactly on this chronologically. This is how they put it. They put first what we do, then the social, then the financial. So we spend most of the, they said that we spend most when we feel worst. So people were shown a video designed to induce sadness. They offered actually to pay more, like 4 times more than as much as for the same product as for people who did not watch the video. And this was interesting because, even if people, they think that they do not do this, but they actually are unconscious of how they are paying or spending money. Physical well-being, of course, we have been talking about this a lot, like 20 minutes of exercise in the morning can boost your mood, and sleep is nature's rest button. You just rest to get your brain reset. Community well-being. So, and this was also for me, I like this very much. Neuroscientists have discovered that brain regions that are activated when we receive money, and this based on brain scans, can glow even brighter when we give money. So, and I think that's what is all our, a different kind of faith is just talking about, giving more than anything else. In conclusion, all these elements are universal across faith, culture, and nationality, and people take different paths to inspire them daily. So some people, they prefer, for example, spiritual, they're more very connected to the religion, or they have a deep mission like protecting the environment, or helping the poor, or doing something that really fulfill them. All these things motivate us differently, but actually at the end, the result is the same. You end with a good leads to well-being, as long as we are working on the other elements as well. So I remember a wise guy before, at the beginning of my life, they told me we have like a 24 points. How you divide these 24 points is most important. It's always nice to have a balance between all the 24 points. So what is the problem then? Why, why we're talking about this? They found that while 66% of the people who are doing well in at least one of these areas, only 7% are striving or succeeding in all 5. And they said, if we are struggling in any of these domains, it impacts our well-being and affects our daily lives, of course. So these critical elements are within our control, and we have the ability to improve them. So, but they find out that the single biggest threat to our own well-being tend to be ourselves. And then that let me stop, how can it be ourselves? Because if we just, leave our short-term, we want a short-term enjoyment or happiness, it will affect our long-term well-being. So they said we are working against our best interests. We definitely know that physical activities will improve our health, yet we skip exercises and said, okay, what about, it's not a problem one day to be away from the gym or away from walking. It will not cause issues. Or too much sugar and fried food, we know also that it can be bad for our health, but we still let's have this piece of candy or piece of chocolate. And one French fries cannot cause diabetes or obesity. Getting angry and reacting without reflection, without thinking, just being on an autopilot all the time, doing things and reacting without thinking about it, can definitely cause negative consequences. It satisfies ourselves by scoring a point. Yes, we did this, give us a short-term satisfaction, and it also confirms our own self. This is me. I do not, that's how I do. I get angry and I don't know how to control myself. It confirms this self-image, and all this actually hinder our growth It hinders our way of, developing as a human, as humans. It's important also, we know that it's important to spend quality time with our friends and family, but when work is pressing, we don't even stop to ask a friend or ask about our families. So what we are actually doing is we are just letting the short-term desires to win, and that's make it very difficult to affect long-term behavioral change. It's in our nature. It is actually in our nature always to prefer, the short-term reward. Psychologists, they have been for years talking about, that slowing, getting the reward actually is a mean of being developed and getting to grow. So it's just, there are lots of movies actually on YouTube about kids where they put a piece of chocolate on in front of them and they tell them, wait, don't take it till your brother come, or we'll share it together, but don't eat it immediately. And many of them, they say, okay, we'll wait. And some, they couldn't. So it's a matter of development process. How do they develop and how do they reach this stage? So after all this, I'll just come back to who am I? Who are we? How can, this, if I'm not aware and my brain is working in this is part of our survival mechanism that we always we want to reward ourselves. We want to be more compassionate to ourselves. Okay, let's have a piece of chocolate that will make me more happy. Or I want to do this reaction, I will do this reaction without even thinking about the consequence. If all this, my brain is working against me, how can I develop this self-awareness? So I was looking all over the literature, and I found lots of things about self-awareness, learning, self-care, different kind of selves. Then I said, okay, let's see what this self is. So the self is the sum of elements, body, emotion, thoughts, behavior, that constitute the individuality of a person, the identity. And it's shaped by various factors, which is genetic, not my problem, upbringing, not my problem, culture, and surrounding environment. Nothing of this is my doing. So how I have to be aware, and all of this are not my doing. What should I do in order to, because I am at the end, I'm accountable for my behavior. So I said, okay, let's see what's the definition of self-awareness. And there was like tons of it in the literature. The latest definition, I said, let me take only the latest definition just to make, what it is. It's a skill consists of a range of components that comes to you through focus, evaluation, feedback, and comparing ourselves to common standard of correct behavior. So we stop and we start to compare ourselves to common standard of behavior. What's a correct behavior around us, and where do we stand with this? So it's like, sometimes some people have distorted self-image, so they think, oh, I am this. Well, actually they are not. So the process informs us of our internal state, and at the same time, it drives our behavior and how these impact others. And this, like, most important, how do we impact us? It's the ripple effect. If we do something and, if we do something and your kids see it, or your siblings, it impacts them. It's it's a ripple effect. They either they imitate you, or they just, see, oh, he's doing this or she's doing this, let me do the same thing. So what percent do you consider yourself self-aware? This question is for you. I would like to explore how are we self-aware. I would like you to write it in the chat, please. It would be great. I can't see the chat, so, oh, I'm sorry, I just moved. Okay. Raji, if you can tell me, please, if there's anyone, how much is the percentage?
I have posted the question on the chat, so no responses as yet.
Okay. I would like you to write a percentage. What is the percentage? Okay, now I can see it. All right. What is the percentage you see yourself? Self-aware. 20%. Okay, Salman. Oh, and 70%. That's great. Mustafa, 10%. Fatin, 50%. Oh, great. Okay. إسراق 60%, 30%, 80%, Manal 60%, Asala 70%. All right. Well, I won't be sure, but maybe 50%. All right. Sarah 80%. Great. All right. So I think most of us are self-aware. Let's see. Next one, I think if you can open, please, Raji, the poll. How often do you find yourself engaging? Oh, is this the first question? Oh, no, this one. Have you ever taken a test to measure your self-awareness? Any of you have done any? I think Raji will be opening a poll. If you please, can you write for yourself? No. There's a poll. No, you haven't taken any self-awareness. Okay.
Just 1 minute, Maha. I'm just repolling. Just one moment.
Okay.
Are you all able to see the poll?
Yeah, no.
Okay, I'm just polling it on the, then they can just write it on the chat.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, a lot. I can see people say no, not all the time.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say a majority are saying no.
No. All right. Okay. So have you ever taken, all right, sir. How often do you find yourself engaging in reflection? How many times do you sit and you start to reflect about yourself, about your own thinking, not about what happened all during the day, but about your own thinking, about you, about what you do? All the time? A, okay. Not often? Not often, okay. B, not often, all the time, not often. Great. So guys, I just want to tell you that if you answered not often, this session is perfect for you. Even if you answered all the time, still this is perfect for you, because self-awareness is a skill, and it's like a muscle. It needs a good workout to stay strong and flexible. The latest thing that I find is a new research done by a group of academics in different American universities, and it revealed that I will show you the method they have done. They have done a lot of, took a lot of steps to reach this results. They said that self-awareness is a rare quality. They find out that although many participants believed that they were self-aware, only 10% or 15% of the people they investigated fit this criteria. They have actually did, I'll show you the method. They reviewed nearly 800 scientific studies. They surveyed 3,000 people across industries to see the relationship between self-awareness and the key attitude. They also surveyed those who knew these people, and they compared, notes, if they are exactly the same or if they have the same understanding. They developed a multi-rater assessment, and they did interviews with 50 people to see, and at the end they found that between 10 and 15 people only out of the 3,000, they have self-awareness. So the results of this study, they find that there are two broad categories of self-awareness. Internal self-awareness, which we talk about, that's how we see our values, our passion, our aspiration, our reaction, and this feeling, behaviors, everything. But this all depends on how your brain is working. Is it protecting you, or is it actually, there is give you a harsh comments about yourself, or your self-image? How do you see yourself? So your internal self-awareness depends on how your brain works. External self-awareness, this is another thing that they find, the small percentage that have rated higher in self-awareness, they actually try through feedback. They see themselves and getting a clear feedback from different people whom they know well and long enough. So it's not just a friend who just sitting beside you, or a colleague, or, like this, you have this 360 surveys they do a lot for personality and things like that. You need to have someone who knows you long enough, and you trust that he's doing for your own benefit and interest, and they understand and learn how others see them. So these people who are the high-rated people, they understand and learn how other people see. So it's not only to know what the other people saying, but also to understand how people understand, and they compare, their notes. The second result is that experience and power hinder self-awareness. It's clear, people with more experience, all people and people who has more experience in life, they're overconfident with their self-knowledge. We need a little bit of humility, like we said, okay, I've reached this age, I reached this stage in education or academically or even career-wise or in life in general. People get overconfident with their knowledge. Power, and the more power people have, the more likely they are to overestimate their skills and ability, and this blind them, to get to dig deep in themselves and know what they are. The third, which is introspection, which reflection about what you are thinking, does not always improve self-awareness. We always think, to be self-aware, you just have to start to think about what you're doing and see how you can revisit this. But they find out that the people who introspect are less self-aware and report worse job satisfaction and well-being. But the problem is not in introspection itself or in reflection, the process itself, or this, technique, but it's the most people are doing it incorrectly. The most common introspective question is why. When you start by saying why, immediately your brain starts to activate to say, okay, why? Because they are not good enough, because that's how you are and it's okay with it. It starts to give excuses, but to increase self-insight and to decrease unproductive rumination, you should ask yourself, what question help us to stay objective? So this is hard right now. This is a hard time for me right now. What can I do to make this better? What can I do to help myself, to move from this and move forward? So now we need to change our self-talk from, why did I did this, or to what can I do to make this better? So they find that lots of barriers for self-awareness. Number one, of course, societal pressure. Society often dictates you should do this, you should behave this, you think this, you're making a challenging understanding. This makes it challenging to understand ourselves because you always have to follow, like certain things around you. But at the same time, you can, of course, I'm not saying that, to disregard what's society around you, but at least you need to have to make your own judgment and think completely how to work with these kind of pressures. Fear of vulnerability. Your session has expired. Please sign in. Can you hear me or
all good, Maha? Continue. Ignore that message. Just continue.
Okay. So fear of being, show your weakness or feeling exposed on, show that you're vulnerable. You're not. Some people just get terrified that they show that they are weak or they have some negative points. Self-judgment. I have a lot of people when, they are overly critical of themselves. They always criticize themselves. They're always, tough to examine their thoughts or emotions. They are just putting themselves all the time in judging as if, like you did this wrong, you did this right. I remember my daughter, she's doing her PhD and she used to have she has to have A's. So her supervisor told her, by the way, you shouldn't, because it's a PhD. This is not like a school or high school. You have to get 100% all the time. It's how you present yourself. So you need to see somebody to see what's the problem behind this. And she said, no, I always think that I have to be an A+. And then she remembered that me and my husband all the time they say, okay, she comes home, we said, I got 85%. And what happened to the rest of the 15%? Or sometimes my husband tells her, so what happened? And anybody else got 100%? And those people, do they have an extra piece in their brain than you? So all this makes her judge herself always that, okay, I know I have to fulfill this what is expected from me. Some people also, they have busy lifestyles. They're all busy, and it's easy to be an autopilot. Just no time to look, to reflect, to think about what we are doing, or to think what's our objectives and how we want to move forward. It's just, we're just going with the flow. This can be said, easily said, but it takes a lot some work. Resistance to change. Some people, let's say, I'm reached this stage, I reached this age, I'm not changing. And but we grow till the last minute. We grow till the last minute. We are actually accountable for our deeds till the last breath. So we need to change. Change is easy as long as you work on it. So how to move from self-awareness to self-management to improve well-being? All this is caused because of you cannot self-manage your thinking. You want the rewards easily. All this needs to be improved in order to achieve well-being. Daniel Kahneman, he is a very well-known, and he took a Nobel Prize, actually, psychologist. He wrote a book, interesting book called Thinking Fast and Slow. And this book, he made an extraordinary comment or discovery. He said there are two systems of the brain. System one is automatic, intuitive, and this is 95% of our brain activity. It's automatic and intuitive, unconscious, fast, and always on autopilot. System two is conscious and rational, need more time and energy, but it takes some, looks for some solutions, but it only works 5%. So our brain, 95% is unconscious, automatic, and 5% only that is conscious. So if we know this, fact, we need to work or do something about it. We do our training, by the way, it's called Emotional Intelligence, Mastering Emotional Intelligence. We do it like once a year. And this is actually a trigger model that we developed. We said, it's important to know how emotion affect our action. So usually you are around your surrounding, on your environment, and there is a trigger event, a stimulus, something that reacts, an emotional reaction. This emotional reaction can be like, you get terrified, or you get happy, or, any just sudden emotional intelligence. And so if you act without thinking, definitely you will reach negative results. But there are like few seconds before you start to behave. It's called self-talk. This self-talk where your brain starts to produce, your brain have like nice filing system. So what they do, they said, okay, you have this situation before. Let's pull the file that goes with this situation. And they pull the file to you and said, okay, act this way. You acted this way last time, act this way. And then you start to act this way. Sometimes it doesn't work in the same situation. So you need to think a little bit and change the self-talk. So the self-talk here maybe say, I acted this way before, let me do this. Or, I did this before and it didn't work out, so let me leave it as it is. If you don't change your self-talk to move forward, you definitely will get negative results. But if you move it before you behave, you change it before you behave and go for action, sometimes it can get positive results. So how to be you have to be in control, how to be manage yourself. I'll just give you some skills. Hopefully it will be helpful. You will find a lot on, but I encourage you to look for, like legitimate sites, like something that's related to a health. There is a lot of, if you can send me an email and I can, give you some of these sites. Psychology Today, or something to do with, I forgot the names, but like some of these big clinics in US or CDC, or things that can get you some good information. So the first technique is to change your self-talk. How do you reframe your mental commentary that is triggered by a stimulus? Your current negative thought, for example, and I want you to write down in the chat, I won't be able to handle it. I will look incompetent and I will lose faith. Some people, maybe they will be given a project and say, no, I don't want to do it. I will be incompetent and I will lose faith. I don't want to look bad in front of other people. What do you think could be a good wording to rewrite this self-talk? How can you switch to a positive self-talk or something that, can make you move forward? Can you please write on the chat if possible? I won't be able to handle it, and I will look incompetent. How can we change it? How can we make it better?
Nothing yet on the chat, Maha.
Okay. So maybe like something we say, I have been through a lot before. Let me try this one too. I will try to work hard. Yes, thank you, Pascal. I will try to work hard to achieve better outcomes. Exactly. I will try to find another solutions for ideas. I will look for ideas more to be Duraya. I might not be able to handle it, but I'm sure I can give it a try and not to lose hope. Exactly. This is a good opportunity to learn and grow. Thank you, Momin. Excellent. Okay, the second question is, I have this reactive quality. I always react without thinking, and I cannot do anything about it. Do you? So how can you change this? I have this reactive quality, but how can I move forward out of that? How can I get out of this self-talk? It can also be like, yeah, try to think of positive solution, but what you can do instead. Okay. So if you have a reactive quality and you cannot do anything about it, I'm trying to think of specific and what you can do instead. All right. So what can I do? How can I do it? So, and I can't do nothing about it. I can, of course. I mean, okay, let me look for ways how to change this reactive reaction, quick reaction. Let me find, so I can, I mean, any quality, it can be changed. So he or she is doing this to me in purpose. Some people just think, oh, no, this is done for me in purpose. Yes, find alternative. So what is the alternative for this? Maybe let me ask, I can go and ask why was this done? Actually, there was a story, a very nice story done in Daniel Goleman. Daniel Goleman is the father of emotional intelligence. He's the one who started the whole idea of emotional intelligence. And he wrote a book about this. And one of the stories that he was telling that a boss, Fatin said, leave them away or learn to ignore. Yeah, you can do that. But he was telling a story about a team was working on a project, and they have been working on it for some time. Then they went to the senior manager or the senior director, and that guy, he said, "What is this? This is rubbish. This is nothing. This is not good." And he kept screaming and shouting. This team has a leader, like a junior leader. So as soon as the whole team came out of the room, everybody went to their offices and they just disappeared. For that guy, he went back, to his office and he was thinking, I have two options. Either I resign or I have to do something about it because, I have to pay my bills. I have kids to go to university. I need to do something to change the situation. So he sat for a month, worked on the project, and he gathered his team back. They worked on it and all the details that the senior director was upset with it. And then he took an appointment and he went to that person and he knocked on the door and he said, "Excuse me, sir, I did this and I would like to see it." I said, "Oh, wonderful, that's a great job." And then he stood 1 minute and said, "I just would like to know, last time you shouted at me and I just want to know if you have done this in purpose or if you have any other, motive behind it. And the director was shocked. He said, no, I didn't mean it. I seriously didn't mean it. I was just, I had something in my mind and I wasn't thinking, and I thought that we are, like deadline. He wasn't thinking about, he was not doing it in purpose. He was just, he himself is a human. He has some other issues in his in brain. Sometimes actually some people think that this could be a way of managing that, if they are, like showing to other people, everybody will try to work hard. Well, sometimes it can affect the morale, but he wasn't doing it on purpose. So maybe it's a good opportunity to go and explore why this was done. It always happened to me. Always happens to me that some people are just, get stuck in a place. I'm very unfortunate. Every time I go to this, it always happened to me. That every day is a new day, and it's important to change way of thinking. It's time, like Margarita was saying, change a way of thinking. It's time for me to learn how to respond this time. Yes. Okay, so this is a good exercise. It's actually, I have a lot, but I said just for the purpose of time, I don't want to move more than this. Back to introspection with what? So some of the questions for introspection: why do I feel so terrible? Sometimes something happened. So the common introspective question is, why do I feel so terrible? How to modify this? By what are the situations that make me feel terrible, and what do they have in common? What are the situations? Here you have various situations, and when you feel terrible, you need to just think, what makes me feel terrible? Why do they say this about me? And what are the steps I need to take in the future to do a better job? Yeah, maybe they are saying because there's something wrong with it. So let's see how to make this a better job. Why wasn't I able to turn things around? What do I need to do to move forward in a way that minimizes the impact on people around me? And again, back to the same question. This is hard right now. What can I do to make this better? Always use what instead of why. Identifying personal values and goals. It's important to know what's your value in life. People, like, sometimes they say my value is equity. And when it comes, like, for example, they are treating everyone, I treat everyone equally. But when they stop, for example, in a traffic light, and they found a big, huge, nice, fancy car, who just, just passed him or he doesn't shout that much. But if he has like a poor driver in a taxi, he starts to shout. So this is not equity. Equity is to treat people like, of course, with respect and with empathy, but you need to know your personal values. Values is, some people also can say, like, my first value is my family, but it takes them sometimes to ask about the rest of the family members, or they don't know what's happening in their lives. So just identifying the personal values is important. And upon these values, you set your goals. It has to be aligned in order and with your behavior. So you set aside time and reflect on meaningful question. What are my core values? What is the value that I would like to lead my life with? And what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? Okay, but you always, like, try to focus on your strengths. This is my strengths and I like this. My weakness, that, I really don't like sitting on a desk all day, or I don't like to be working. I like to work with, with my own work. I don't like people to be more pressurizing me. My strengths is that I can actually generate a lot of creative work. I have a lot of people skills. This all can, if I if I emphasize more on my strengths, that will make me better look what I want to do. But everything has to be aligned with your values. Mindfulness, it has been actually used, we use this a lot, but it's important, and you train your mind to focus on the current activity. I remember my kids, when we are going out, like we go out during the week, and said, what we will do next? Let's see what we'll do next. I said, why don't we enjoy the moment? And then we'll think what we're doing tomorrow or what we'll do next. Always engage in the present and enjoy the process. learn relaxation, grounding techniques, and I will talk about the grounding techniques later. Take notice of your surrounding, the sights, the sound, the smell, and listen attentively to a conversation of others, even for silence. Even if, I mean, there is silent, just enjoy the silence. Sometimes it can help. So the grounding techniques I was telling you about, probably most of you know it, is you name 5 different things around you when you are upset or angry or sad. Look around the room and see like 5 things and see how it is. Look at it like, you know, a more, not just passing by, but focus on the colors, on the pattern. Listen to energetic or relaxing music for a few minutes. Music always like get yourself detached. Hold an object in your hand and focus on the color and the texture. Take a deep breath. Take 10 deep breaths, counting each one as your chest rises. And, you know, inhale and exhale. Eat a piece of candy. Just choose this word that describes the taste. So you take the, is it very sweety or it's like less sugar? And you can actually, it's an excellent exercise when you practice grounding techniques as a team. If you have a team or as a family, that would be a great idea because, you know, we inspire each other. Plan a date with yourself. I find this strategy really interesting. So think of one thing that would be fun for you to explore, something that you didn't already know about, or be a tourist in your own town. Like, you know, going out, seeing whatever we have done actually a retreat few days, and it was excellent retreat. We went outside in an outside farm where, you know, we were connected to earth. We have noticed the colors of the different kind of creatures, the butterflies, the, you know, the plants doing activities, and experience an artist date. Connect yourself. Some people say, I'm not creative. I don't like to do some, you know, things with artistic. But artistic is not only doing like drawing. It can be anything. It can anything like working with straws, with marble, anything that can connect you with yourself. And you will find what actually you enjoy more. The last strategy, which I highly recommend, is to explore yourself. Explore your self-awareness. So I put an insight quiz down. It's a free quiz online. Huda, if you can please. Yes, thank you so much, Raji. So this insight quiz is actually, it's interesting. It asks you to fill it and then send it to someone whom you trust, whom you know that he knows or she knows everything about you. So ask someone who knows you very well enough and you trust to fill it for you. Ask them to think about you, to describe you, and set what rings true and with you and what surprises you. Then when you see the differences, you see what actually, you know, like surprises you. I said, so that you're not self-aware, and start to ruminate on it and think, how can you, you know, see what is the, compare the notes between you and that friend of yours. So we judge ourselves by our intention, but others judge us by our behavior. So your intention can form your self-image, but your behavior can be different. So people judge you by your own behavior. So when you have your intention and you do your self-aware test and people see your behavior and they do your awareness test, then you compare, you will reach a good self-awareness of what exactly you are. So my meta message, my whole meta message of this session or of this presentation is that we are accountable for our deeds and responsible for how we impact others. And the level of our self-awareness is the basis of our decisions and actions. Self-awareness is a complex skill that needs lifelong practice. Developing, enhancing self-awareness needs intention and collective effort. So internal and external reflection and comparing notes. So yeah, please post your question, comments either here. Okay. And these are my references that I have done. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer. Thank you so much. I'll stop sharing.
Yes. So thank you very much, Maha, for that very wonderful and insightful talk. So while our participants, post some questions and comments, I'll just start off, with some questions for you. I think one of the key things that you mentioned was about the introspective question, right? So where we really, we are generally using why am I doing this? Why am I, and we should change that focus to what, right? So from why I did this to what I can do about this, if there is something. But what would you suggest, Maha? Because this is obviously, it's very difficult for us to change our mindsets. And as they say that, as we become adults, our pathways are set in our brains. So how do we, I mean, I know you said, of course, learning happens lifetime in the whole lifetime, and there's no age where we stop learning. But can you, maybe guide people in sort of, helping them develop that mindset where they can help change that mindset?
It's a long process and a difficult, hard, challenging process, but actually it works if you, and you will find a lot of setbacks,
Sure.
But by journaling can help. Journaling things that, like I have done this and it was not working. Okay, let's sit with myself, be a friend with myself and try to find solutions. So introspection by why, always, like, I think journaling is the best approach. You start by journaling, you start by thinking of it, and writing down things. It helps a lot because you find that it's not like you're facing it for the first time. Usually when you do the mistake, and then we do the mistake again and 3 times, and it's the same mistake, and you do the same reaction. But if you write it down and you try to find a solution for it, I think that could be, it will help. That's one of my suggestions.
Sure, I think that's a great suggestion. And again, as you're saying, it's very challenging, even in public health, when we want to change anybody's behaviors, change the mindset about any kind of, the first answer will always be no. We tend to resist change in any way. And we, like you're saying, like we feel that whatever we are doing, it's the best of what I'm doing. Or so just really to be aware of that, me, I, always those kind of things that we are, thinking about. So again, we have a comment or a question from one of our participants saying she's aware of her strengths and weaknesses, but what measures can she take to go through a situation which is beyond her strength, but she cannot improve her weakness in that case? So maybe it's a difficult situation. How would you help her, or what strategies do you think that she could, engage in or practice, which will help her go through a difficult situation?
If it's a difficult situation and you start to find a solution, you cannot find it, there's no harm of asking the advice of other people. You can have, there's a lot of things available now. It's not only psychologists, or because people get, terrified from anything to do with mental health. But there is also life coaches. Life coaches is a good solution for sometimes, because it gives them, it talks about moving forward instead of just let's dig in the past. Okay, you have a difficulty, you have a situation, but going through this, if you cannot do it alone, then I think having a life coach where you can throw this in front of them and start to discuss it together, they will lighten up things for you. They will start to, show you with your own help. They will get this out of you. It's not, they will give you some strategies, and it's for you to have. I think that's one of the best things to do, is just, if you cannot do it yourself, if you have a weakness and you cannot overcome it, and makes the situation worse, why not looking for a life coach or someone whom you feel around you feel that he's doing, and you trust, and ask for an advice. Always ask for a feedback. It will always help. It will illuminate you. It will give you more ideas. Definitely, Fatin was saying it's not easy to change mindset, but we need to try, because we are accountable for everything we do. Everything is not, I mean, at the end of our life, it's how we are, how we impact other people. And it's not a bad idea to try with some of
Absolutely.
these skills. Yes, slowly, it will help.
Yes. Taking baby steps like a little
Baby
baby
steps,
takes.
exactly.
So thank you, Maha. That's a wonderful suggestion, to look around yourself, look for people, some mentors or friends or family members. If you don't have access to a coach, then maybe, people around you can help you through that situation. So Maha, just to talk a little bit more about, I mean, I know you've spoken about barriers to self-awareness, right? And you
Yes.
talked about societal pressures and fear of vulnerability and self-judgment and busy lifestyles, and of course the resistance to change. So again, what would you maybe suggest, in terms of how we can, maybe you can reiterate some of those strategies that we can use to overcome these barriers?
Okay, so I mentioned this and said, how to move. This is mainly, it's these barriers hinder self-awareness.
Right.
But nothing happen without self-management, without trying to improve yourself. It's useless without with really working on self-management.
Mhm.
And if we know that we're working 5% only on with our brain, on our conscious brain, we
Yes.
need to be more, it's more challenging for us. We need to work on it in more stronger, to be more in control. We need the intention and the determination to continue some of these simple strategies that I showed you, like how to change the self-talk. You can make it as an exercise, get some of these questions, and or try to identify some of the questions that comes to your mind all the time. Some like during like, for example, some people say, this is how I am. I'm always, I do not know how to control my, just do it, put it down, ask someone. If you cannot know how to do it, how to control your anger, ask someone how to help you with it. And try to change your self-talk. No, yeah, this is yours, but you can change. Introspect with what, and have been going through this, and identifying personal values. We have a lot of people now, they do not know what is their goal or what's their objective. What do they want to do with their life? It's important to have a value. What is your main value of life? My main value, for example, some people, they have value being family oriented. I really care about my family. Yeah, you care about your family, but at the same time, you need to know how much burden you're putting on them if you are not really caring about yourself.
Right.
So it's important to know what kind of value you have, and you build your goals on it.
Right.
And at the same time, have your behavior based on both. You need to be all aligned. It's not just one thing without the other. If you are really burned out and you need change, so I think I highly recommend to make a date with yourself. Just, have a date, just enjoy it either somewhere, either in the Corniche or in, somewhere to enjoy it. And
Right.
do this assessment. I find it very helpful. I did it with me and all my family, and I think it eliminates a lot of ideas.
Mhm. Okay, Maha, so of course you've spoken about self-management, right? Where you are
Yes.
trying to increase your, so what if you know someone, who you feel lacks self-awareness? How can we try and approach that person, to help them increase their self without them feeling, belittled in any way? What would you suggest? And where it's not about the self, but maybe you have a friend or a colleague, who you feel maybe are lacking in self-awareness. What would you suggest there?
I will start by I say, I have done an excellent self-assessment. Why don't we try it? I would like to do it with you. And why don't we do it? Let's do it other way around. And let's see how, it's important to just to pass it nicely without, harming them, because
Yes,
sometimes that let people more rejecting to change.
sure.
But if people show care about it, and just guide them a little bit, little bit by little bit, it can help. We have this all the time with our, with our kids, with our family. People are not aware how much impact they are impacting others, while actually we 100% sure that they love us, and we are 100% sure we love them. But their behavior, sometimes they don't know how they impacted us. So it could be a good opportunity by doing this, or just, being frankly speaking, say, can be confronting, but not in a way to, change it into a difficult situation, with love and with understanding and all this kind of stuff.
Yes. So thank you so much. So I think those are about all the questions and comments we have. There is one which says, where you spoke about the brain, saying that
Yes.
the 95% and the 5%. So the question is, can we increase this 5% to control more?
Yes, you can increase it by getting yourself, with more introspection, and more rejuvenate about what you do and how you can make it better. Stop. You have a situation that irritates you, you don't have to react immediately. Stop and think about it. Remember this, the model I showed you. It's just like a few minutes, but the changing of the self-talk, it changes your behavior. So you see the situation. There's a lot of techniques to stop. Either you can make breathing, or have a glass of water beside you all the time, drink some water and sleep on it. Sometimes you receive emails that's so irritating. So I said, you can, if you want to respond the email immediately, it would be a disaster. You can write the email, but don't write, to whom, and then wait, sleep on it, next day read it and see how it is. You can increase this control by controlling your reaction. And think what you have, why this situation, what is wrong with this situation that make me reach this stage. So in order to be able to control it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we've learned some, key points from you. Thank you so much, Maha, for taking time out today, to engage with our audience in this talk, which is a very, very important talk about, self-awareness and how it basically connects to our well-being. So it's extremely important for us to try and, engage in strategies which improve our self-awareness. So thank you to everybody attending. So plan on, as Maha suggested, plan on a date with yourself, and maybe take that time, to introspect and reflect on the why and the what question, so we can all improve our lives, and aim for better well-being for all of us and for all the people, all around us also. So thank you, and inshallah, we look forward to seeing you at the next iteration of the Health and You series. We are grateful for you all to be attending this series. Maha, thank you once again very much.